On today's Ask Connie Anything, we're taking Britta Green-Violet's original question and expanding it a little bit. So we talked about what a sole proprietorship is and what an LLC is. Well, what's the difference between an LLC and an SCorp? Cooper, joined by Cooper Warner with Namaste Law. What's the difference there?
It's such a good question, Connie, because truly, if I had $1 for every time somebody came to me, potential client or a current client, and said, I want to become an SCorp, I need to close my LLC, I would be a very wealthy woman. So I'd like to probably start with a few disclaimers, some housekeeping points.
Okay.
The first being, I am not an accountant or a CPA, so anything that I share is coming from a business attorney lens. So definitely take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt and talk, all of you, to an accountant. The second thing I'm going to say is the IRS, LLCs came into existence, 30, 40 some odd years ago. They're a fairly new business structure.
Yes.
States have created laws and structures around LLCs. The IRS, however, has not. So the IRS has not created any specific tax regimen around LLCs. So that's a complicating factor here. The IRS can't make anything simple, right? So Anywho, call a spade a spade. So that's a second housekeeping point. The third is that when we're talking about LLCs and taxes, it often depends on how many owners of the LLC there are. So with those housekeeping points aside, I will say that when I'm talking about SCorp elections, I am sometimes looking through a business lens, so a business structure lens. So that's talking, when I say business structure, I mean, is it a sole proprietorship? Is it a partnership? Is it a corporation? Is it an LLC? So I'm sometimes looking through that lens. Other times I'm looking solely through a tax lens. So the LLC structure I talk about when I'm looking through my business structure lens. The S corporation I talk about when I'm looking in my tax lens. So they are not mutually exclusive. An LLC can be an S corporation. A corporation can also be an S corporation. So there's just a lot of confusion, and I think most of that stems from not recognizing that S corporations deal with tax elections and not the business structure.
Yeah.
So now that point is hopefully clear, I'll just spend a couple minutes just explaining how LLCs are taxed, the default rules.
Yes.
So if you're a single member LLC, so one business owner, your default taxation is going to be a sole proprietorship.
Yes.
Gets very confusing, but looking through the tax lens, you can be an LLC with just one business owner, but taxed as a sole proprietor. So the IRS calls this situation a disregarded entity. So essentially, the IRS is disregarding the fact that you have a business and all of the income that you are deriving from your business is passing through from your LLC to you individually, and you're reporting that on your individual returns. If you're a multi-member LLC, the default taxation is a partnership taxation, but it's also a disregarded entity. The IRS is not concerned that you have a business. They just want to see all of the income, hopefully not losses, but any losses your business might have experienced. All of that will be reported on your individual tax returns. That's the default. If you do nothing more than just create an LLC and get a tax ID number, so an EIN, the default is going to be a sole proprietor taxation or a partnership taxation, dependent on the number of business owners you have.
Okay. All right.
So then, if we want to talk about SCorp elections, that deals with elections that you actually have to make. It's not a default tax structure. And again, not an accountant, talk to an accountant, but an S corporation can offer an LLC some tax advantages, because when you are wearing your business owner hat, but also wearing the employee hat, so you're working for your business.
Right.
There's different types of income based on what you're doing. So sometimes a business owner is totally silent, so they don't actually participate in the day-to-day operations of a business. So in situations where you are working for your business, you're making a lot of money, an S corporation can provide you with tax advantages. So really where that comes into play is if you're able to pay yourself a normal salary, based on what your industry is. So a normal attorney salary, I'd have to be able to pay myself that, and I'd take that money as self-employment income, and I'd pay tax accordingly on that. But if I had something left over in my business, so additional profits that I could distribute to myself as dividends, then I can do that with an S corporation election and not pay the same self-employment taxes on that amount of money. So somebody who knows your books, knows your numbers, is definitely more qualified to talk to you about whether or not it makes sense. But from the business attorney's point of view, I just want to make sure that everybody is clear on the fact that you can be an LLC and an SCorp. An SCorp deals with taxes only. You can be a corporation and be an SCorp. You can be a single member LLC or a multi-member LLC and be an SCorp. But they're not exclusive. So just know which lens you're looking through, and that I think will help clear up a lot of the confusion.
Yeah, I can see that. And so to recap is we look at choosing an S-Corp status when your business is creating enough money to support your lifestyle, your household full-time. So I've been hearing from tax pros that that's around $150,000. In the Profit First book, $150,000 is enough money to pay a single full-time person. So once your business is generating that amount of money, there are tax benefits of being a corporation rather than a single member or a disregarded entity, an LLC, because you get to add an extra tax return. There are extra things to do. There's an extra filing to do. So as always, check with a business attorney for how to set that up. And I would also include having a conversation with your tax pros to make sure that that's a good tax planning strategy.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the ones who will look at your numbers and say whether or not it's a good idea. A lawyer can help you navigate how to actually put that into existence, because there are additional restrictions on who can have an S-Corp election, which is, beyond this conversation. But, there are little nuances, of course. That's the world that we live in as lawyers. It's all about the nuances, but you're totally correct.
Cool.
About everything you said. So
awesome. Well, thank you,
You
Cooper
bet.
Warner, Namaste Law, for answering our legal questions from Britta Green Violet. And of course, if this triggered any other questions, see the link, send them to me. And until next time, wishing you much success, joy, and of course, always profits. See ya.